Welcome to Hockey Night in New York, where Islanders hockey is always top shelf. Whether you got your start as a Dynasty veteran, a Millbury survivor, or you were born into the Church of Trotz, Hockey Night in New York is your home for all things Isles. Now, here are your eclectic hosts, Sean Cuthbert
and Michael Carver.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Hockey Night in New York. Welcome to the program, everyone. It is Sunday, February 20th, 2022, coming at you live from the Hockey Night New York studios on Long Island. A very special edition of Hockey Night New York coming at you. Mr. Michael Carver from Isle Seed Podcast and SportsGrid joining me tonight, filling in for the lackadaisical Christian Arnold.
I was going to say to you, you got, eclectic in the open there.
Yeah.
You don't have that every week when Christian's here, right?
Oh, no, yeah, that's part of the intro.
All right.
Every week.
Fine.
Every
Okay.
week.
Well, maybe you should do eclectic with you and then, have something else for him.
Other versions.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll work on that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Already giving us some input.
Yeah, there
Love
you
it.
go.
We
There
got
you go.
John Buccigross coming up to join us from ESPN. Gonna have a lot of fun tonight. Thanks a lot for joining us after, I guess, what you would call another rough day in the life of the New York Islanders. A lot of reality to check into tonight. But before we get into that, I want to remind you all that we are proud to be presented by R.J. Daniels American Bar and Grill, located at 279A Sunrise Highway in Rockville Center. It is the best place to catch the Isles when you can't be at the game. Head on down for great food and drink specials, plenty of HD TVs, and in-game sound. Also happy to be sponsored by Blue Line Deli and Bagels, located at 719 West Jericho Turnpike in Huntington, 217 Carlton Avenue in East Islip, and UBS Arena at Belmont. They're an official partner of the New York Islanders. Check out the menu at BlueLineDeli.com for all their great offerings. Also happy to be sponsored by Ty Technology, a voice-over IP company providing phone services for businesses across the country. If you're tired of dealing with long hold times and the impersonal service of companies like Spectrum, Optimum, and Verizon, give Ty Technology a call at 516-856-7800 for 3 free months of service. And, of course, happy to be sponsored by Oyster Bay Brewing Company, creator of the Barn Rocker Session Ale, available at 12 locations at the Isles' brand new arena at UBS Arena, and even more distributors across the country from coast to coast. You can also visit the tap room at 36 Audrey Avenue in Oyster Bay 7 days a week to sample all their fantastic beverages. And, of course, don't forget, get your questions in if you're in the chat for the Questions Bruins segment. If you could, get them in later on, just before we're doing the show, when I cue you guys, because I don't have Christian here to go through the chat. See, during the breaks, Christian would go through the chat
job.
to line
That's
up.
what he does?
One of his many, many eclectic jobs, yes. So I didn't want to burden you with that. So if you guys could, just try to remember to bring your questions towards the end of the show when we do the segment. That way we'll get your questions to you. Mikey will help me answer your questions. So with all of that out of the way, the Isles lost to the Sabres 6-3.
They did.
They beat the Bruins convincingly, 4-1.
Convincingly.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
And then today,
good third period.
the Martin St. Louis Montreal Canadiens come into town.
They're
and
getting hot. They beat the Blues they beat the Blues the other night.
Yeah,
at
by
home.
comparison,
Big
I
overtime
guess.
win with Caulfield getting the winner. And then today, another win for Montreal.
Yeah, a
In
little
shootout
3-2
fashion.
shootout victory.
Yeah.
Brought in the Hamburglar, first start in just under 2 years.
I was like 10. I thought it was about 10 years since he played.
It does feel
Really?
like a long
2
time.
years it's been since Hammond was in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gets a win.
Good for him.
So what do you see, MC?
What do I see? Well, look, it's been a while since I've gotten to really give my thoughts on the squad here this year.
Please, let's hear it.
Look, I just feel like we know how the start of the season went.
Yeah.
They got a little screwed in terms of scheduling.
Sure.
They got a little screwed in terms of COVID.
Also, yes.
And then it's really kind of snowballed since then to where
Yeah, I have to
just
agree.
never really got anything going.
Right.
And I saw you even, but I was like, you kind of put the nail in the coffin. The nail's been in the coffin for weeks. Like, let's just be fair here. The nail's been in the coffin for weeks. There was a point maybe in early to mid-January where you could have looked around and said, you know what? Real hot, rip off 14 out of 16, get points in, which they've done the last couple of years. Yeah, I mean, they've had stretches like that in the last 2 seasons.
Right.
Where they go 14 games without, getting a point, or 16 out of 17. They've had that before.
Sure.
They weren't getting that this year. It's just when one thing starts, another thing doesn't happen. They haven't played as a cohesive unit all year. They've been a little bit softer, I feel like, this year. There's just been a lot of things. Compartmentalize that with how the season started and they got their COVID when the league didn't want to cancel games for COVID.
Right.
And you just throw it all into one big pot.
Right.
And this season's just completely lost. I mean, you just forget about it now.
It's toast. It's toast, unfortunately, and that's just the reality of the situation. We're not going to sugarcoat it here, and that's the situation. But I mean, it's just been one thing after another. We've talked about it many times on this show. But the issue that I see and why it's been toast for a little while, and you try to hang on to that hope, but
yeah, you try.
But something we've talked about here on the show is they've struggled so hard to beat playoff teams, right? And they did just do that against Boston. But they've been very good up until recently beating the non-playoff teams. But here's the issue. Even if they won today, let's say they found that third goal, let's say they won in the shootout. The way that they've been beating most of these lesser teams in the league, the tooth and nail, they've been scratching and clawing.
They're not winning 5-0.
Maybe
games
a 4-1 win against Ottawa a couple of weeks ago, maybe one here, maybe one there. But a lot of these games have been tight, and they just barely get out with the win. So, I mean, how much encouragement does that really show?
I kind of thought going into this season that, you just came off 2 years where a lot of things went right, and they made it to the last 2 years in a row. Now, I hear a lot of the asterisk stuff when I've brought this up the last couple of weeks.
Sure.
Well, 2 years ago, they weren't even making it until there was a bubble and they got put in, and this team's built for the playoffs. Last year, they only played their division. They know those teams so well, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
They were in the last 4 the last 2 years. All right, it is what it is. They were there.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to take a lot for them to get back to that point. Playing a full season. Mm-hmm. Just the breaks, so many things have to go right for you to get to that point.
Right.
And to get there 3 years in a row, 3 seasons in a row is very difficult to do. Now, I didn't think it would be off the road train wreck type of stuff that it's become this year.
Right.
But the breaks didn't go for them early. Some things went wrong. Some guys got hurt. A lot of guys out of the lineup. And even when they get the whole crew back together, it just hasn't fit like it has the last couple years. And then you can start to nitpick about other things. Well, they didn't really make any moves in the offseason. They brought in 2 extremely old players to kind of add to their group. They re-signed this guy. Blah, blah, blah. So now you can nitpick a little bit more because the season is over. And you have to now turn your attention to the deadline a different way than you've looked at it the last couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. And we're definitely going to dive into the trade deadline. But a narrative that's kind of built on this show that Christian's kind of been pushing for a little while is kind of questioning whether this team is a regular season team. Everybody talks about what a playoff team they are, but you got to win enough games to get in, right?
True.
And he cited the fact that over the past couple of years with Barry Trotz at the helm, how they've kind of backed into the playoffs. They had some bad runs where they lost a decent amount of games over a long stretch of time, where, again, you kind of go to that devil's advocate thing you were talking about with the shortened season. They got in. Like, they were saved by the season being cut off not too long ago. So is there more strength to that talk now where maybe this is a team that Lou needs to find a way to build it so that they can endure an 82-game season?
The team's built for the playoffs. It's that simple. That's what this team is built for.
Yeah.
But you have to get there.
Right.
And, when you put some of the pieces that you have this year, it just hasn't gone well. Now, if you took this team as present right now and you dropped them in a 7-game series against, the Penguins or the Bruins or the Carolina Hurricanes, I think you'd give them a fair shot to win the 7-game series.
Sure.
I actually, as bad as they have played,
right,
in spots like that, they're good. But the regular season grind, they are not good. They are not built for that. And you need to find.
Seems that way.
You need to find what ingredients you're missing to make the team sustainable over 82 and winning round after round after round in the playoffs. It's a very tricky fine line. It's very weird because you say that team wins playoff series, but they're not good in the regular season. It's different animals. And it's different coaching ways. It's just different systems and different, things that they do. So it's tough, but I agree with Christian. The team's built for the playoffs, but you got to get there.
You got to get there. You got to get there. So with that in mind, we're going to break for Buccigross in a little bit here, but we can start talking about the trade deadline. And I wanted to ask you, now that it seems like if anything, the Islanders are going to be sellers now, do you see or want them to go
on
a right?
What are you selling?
So the question is, aggressive sellers, tinker here and there. Are you looking for a full scale, everybody's on the yard sale type of thing? Are you just looking for a retool here? Because I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the core of this team can still have a basis for a bounce back next year if they do the right thing. But what are your thoughts?
I think that you can still build this team over the next 2 or 3 years to be a contender in the playoffs with a lot of the pieces that they have, obviously with 13, with Matt Barzal at the top, with Andersley, with Brock Nelson, with J.G. Pageau. You mix a lot of these guys in there. Mm-hmm. I think that there's a core there of guys that you can work with and build around. They swung and missed with the Parisi and Chara thing. Now, I couldn't believe it. I don't know why everybody was doing cartwheels and handstands when they signed Zdeno Chara. I mean, he's 100 years old.
It was the nostalgia.
I get it was the nostalgia, but it was silly, is what it was. Yeah. It just, as great as the nostalgia was, he's an old man out there. And sure enough, now you're 50, 60 games into the season, and everybody feels the same way. So there you go.
And with that in mind, what do you think it is about Barry Trotz and his staff that insists on keep putting him in there? The guy hasn't sat yet.
Well, this is where now, with a couple weeks to go in the season, 2 months, this is where decisions need to be made, all right? This is where Barry and Lou and Lane Lambert, and they all got to get in the same room and go, listen, guys, season's over. Let's all readily admit that. It's hard to do that.
Sure.
But you have to sit in that room and go, this is what we need to focus on these last 2 months. I need to see what this guy, and this guy can do. We're done with this guy. I mean, even if you flip Chara to a contender for, honestly, we used to make this joke all the time, a bag of pucks. Like, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
You just need him cleared out so that you can play some guys in the farm, whatever you want to do. You want to give out a little more look. You want to give all these guys a little bit more look.
Right.
And that way, are these guys that we can count on next year for our core group as we try to do this thing again. That's what you need to do. That includes Wahlstrom, too, which is, look, it is what it is. Wahlstrom and Bello should play every single game the rest of the season. There's absolutely no reason for, and I love Barry. I said this the other day on Twitter. Yeah. Barry Trotz could be the coach of the Islanders till the day he dies. Until the day he doesn't want to coach hockey anymore. We've done all the nonsense. The Sterlings and the Scott Gordons and all these jokers. I don't need to get rid of Barry Trotz. But he's got to, whatever his problem is with playing some of these guys, or whoever's got the problem with it,
right?
They got to move that to the side a little bit here over these next 2 months because you got to find out if these guys can play.
Get Chara his games played record, right? Some kind of defensive.
Is he going for some dopey record? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, I think so.
Get him out. Get him out. I don't need to see him anymore.
Well, I mean,
I
don't think we're going to see him beyond April.
Look,
I think that's safe to say.
And as much as it hurts to say it, it's time to break up the party on the fourth line too. It's time to break up the party. I mean,
that's imminent.
Not so much with Casey. Casey's gonna have to find a couple other guys he can play with. Going forward. It's just.
I'm looking forward to talking more about that, but folks, we got a break. Thank you so much for tuning in to twitch.tv/HockeyNightNY, and of course your favorite podcast providers. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, John Buccigross of ESPN will be joining us.
Nikki, where should I go to watch the Islander game?
Dad, where should Fran go to watch the Islander game?
Just tell her to go to RJ Daniels.
Love the Isles? Go to RJ Daniels and enjoy your favorite hockey team with their big screen TVs and in-game sound. RJ Daniels also provides indoor and outdoor dining, catering, a vibrant late-night bar scene, and weekly live entertainment. Need great planials? Go to RJ Daniels. Call or visit online at rjdaniels.com.
From the Coliseum to UBS Arena, we're still rocking the barn.
We made a product based on something that we're big fans of.
You're going to rock the barn, you're going to have a barn rocker.
Oyster Bay Brewing Company's Barn Rocker, available at UBS Arena and everywhere beer is sold.
I don't want to hear it. It's over. I can't believe they fell short again.
Yeah, but they played so well. They made it to the semifinals 2 years in a row.
The semifinals aren't the cup. God damn it, I hate those Lightning.
They'll get another shot at it next year.
I don't even want to talk about it anymore, all right? They lost, okay? Let me just sit here and enjoy the one thing that makes me a little bit happy. This fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty, turkey-filled Blue Line Combo. I eat 3 every day to help keep me strong.
Hey, Donnie, can I have one of those?
Coming right up. Talk about a blast from the Blue Line.
Blue Line Deli and Bagels. Our goal is to make you a hero.
Hope you enjoyed the ads. Now let's get back to Hockey Night in New York with Sean Cuthbert
and Michael Carver. Oh, welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. You are now listening to On the Line, brought to you by Tide Technology, and joining us from ESPN, the great John Buccigross. Join us, John. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Is this the Arizona Coyotes podcast? What's going on?
Oh, boy.
You know what? That's fair. I'll take it.
That's a good shot from Butchie.
That's a fair dig.
That's a good shot from Butchie.
That's a fair dig. We're going to have to talk to the
pay
producer.
Our bills. You got to pay your bills, boys.
Yes, indeed. So, John, now that we got you, first thing I wanted to start with here with you on the show is you got to be one of the happiest individuals getting the NHL back in the mix at NHL. At ESPN. Plenty of hockey coverage. You're calling games now. Just start off with telling us how it feels to have the league back in the mix.
Yeah, it's not all about me, but it's all about me for me. And I'm real happy. Yeah, it's every day is Christmas. It really is. I'm like a little kid anyway most of the time. So certainly to be able to call NHL games on television is just mind blowing for me. So, to travel the country and to work with different analysts and be part of a hockey family and host a show as well in the afternoon on Thursdays. The point, just to be back in the mix and see players and coaches back at the rink, and it's really, really, really fun. It's came just at the right time, and I'm having a blast.
And you got to be happy because now you can bust out the top level jackets out of the closet, John. I mean, that's the best part. You bust out the top level stuff now that you're back traveling city to city, arena to arena. It's great to see. Let's talk about this Islander team. How shocked are you that going into the year, coming off of 2 straight appearances in the Final Four, everybody's picking the Islanders to go to the Stanley Cup Final, Islanders to win the Cup, and sure enough, something's not their fault. Something's very much their fault. Here we are. We sit in the middle of February, and the Islanders, man, way, way, way out of the mix here, Butchie.
Yeah, it happens. Obviously the road trip and the injuries and the bad start, and then it just never quite happened. And it is, pretty shocking. I didn't have them going to the finals, but certainly some people did, and certainly had them making the playoffs. And they seemed like they were a team that had good veteran mix and goaltending, and obviously coaching. It seemed like they had the whole thing. But, this is a weird league, and it doesn't take much. It's such an even league because of the hard salary cap that it doesn't take much for a team to stumble a little bit, another team to be better than we thought a little bit. And that kind of happens every year. We have the elite, but we kind of thought the Islanders were part of that elite, kind of, like the Toronto, the Panthers, the Lightning, the Bruins, the teams that we really thought we could bet our mortgage that they were going to make the playoffs. But, so it really is probably the biggest surprise of the season this year.
Yeah, no question about it, John. And with that in mind, just thinking about them as what we all thought might have been one of the elite teams going in, just before you came on, we were kind of starting to write the eulogy for the Islanders this season and talk about the trade deadline and what they might do there. Do you think this is a team who has to blow things up, or do you think that they have a core there where maybe they just tinker around with it a little bit, bring in, let some of the, I guess, quote-unquote dead weight go and maybe just bring in some guys that can complement guys like Matt Barzal, Adam Pelech, Ryan Pulock, Ilya Sorokin? What do you think there?
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? It's kind of a tough decision. What do you do here? Because they're getting guys who are getting close to 30. There's not a lot of high-level talent outside of Barzal in terms of, a younger-ish player. So it is tough. It's a tough decision for Lamoriello and the gang to try to figure out, knowing him, he'll just kind of, maybe make a move here, make a move there. He's not afraid to be bold. So you never know. He may do like a big blockbuster trade in the offseason that, involving, someone like, Beauvillier and maybe even a defenseman and maybe a number one or a high draft pick they just had recently, or maybe the number one that they have. And, you never know. He may go try to get a youngerish stud again at a team that has cap issues or even a free agent. Who knows? Clear cap room and go for a Forsberg. Like, he might do that, especially lose age. He's not here to rebuild. Like, he's here to win now.
Right.
So it would be interesting. Some of those UFAs are coming up. Will he try to clear enough space and go after those kinds of big fish that are coming around the bend here? Hurdle, Forsberg, guys like that.
One of those things you need to compete in those situations, John, of course, is goaltending. Now, we've seen the Islanders transition this year, where it was Semyon Varlamov's team a year ago. Now more the White Whale, Ilya Sorokin, taking the reins for the Isles. What you've seen of Sorokin this year, is this a guy you consider going to be one of the top 5, top 10 goalies in this league for the next 5 to 7 years that the Islanders are going to be able to rely on?
Well, if that's the case, that'd be a good thing. Goaltending sometimes kind of like middle relief in baseball. Like, you never know year to year. When a team's going to have a good relief corps, then they bring the same guys back. The next year, they're not very good. Goaltending is kind of like that. It's hard to predict. It's up and down. So yeah, I think they're happy with that, and they know that it's a gamble every year goaltending. So you just don't know. So I think they'll go with them, and the biggest key for them is the rest of the team. Do they have enough team speed? Are they dynamic enough on the back end? Getting younger in certain situations, especially on the back end. That's got to be a focus. Play with more pace, and just maybe just chalk it up to a bad year. That's another thing too. Maybe they won't do a lot of changes and just start from scratch and try again.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. We're talking to John Buccigross of ESPN on the line, brought to you by Tide Technology. And just to broaden it out to the rest of the league, John, you talk about the elite teams here. Now that we're just a little over halfway through the season, do you have any kind of favorites now as far as who you think are bound for those later rounds in the playoffs, maybe even a cup favorite or two?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I kind of think about this today. There's these different levels, right? Like you see, people I know they're kind of big on the Penguins, but when the Penguins play the Hurricanes, like the Hurricanes seem to be just a notch above the Penguins. Mm-hmm. And then when the Hurricanes play the Panthers seem to be just a notch above the Hurricanes. So that's where trade deadline is so important for some of these teams like the Penguins and the Hurricanes. You're trying to move up a notch. Because to me, Colorado and Florida and even Tampa, obviously they've won 2 in a row. They have 4 Hall of Famers. But I'm still not sure about that, the third and fourth line, if that's enough over a 2-month playoff. But you probably have to include them there. So, Tampa, Florida, Colorado, to me, they're kind of the big 3. And then you go down to that Carolina, Toronto, Pittsburgh, like we said. How much will Vegas congeal with Eichel now? And if everybody's healthy on that team and they get going, they certainly could be a threat. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see that. So I think there's different levels, like I said, and the trade deadline, that could change. The team could maybe bump up a little bit of a level.
Yeah, John, we know how hard it is to win twice in a row, let alone 3 times, which is what Tampa's going to try to pull off this year. But I think there's a difference when you're playing in the regular season and all the sandpaper and the grit that they lost off of that team from the past couple years. I think once we get into the playoffs, that's maybe when we're going to finally see the effects of that with Tampa Bay. Not so much now, but in the playoffs, the Yanni Gourds, all those guys they lost on the third and fourth line, that's when it's going to affect the Lightning.
Right, and certainly bring Corey Perry in. That was part of that, to have those grinding guys. But he doesn't play at the pace those guys play at. Maroon and Perry, those kinds of guys around the net. But playing with pace and grit, that's a big thing. So that's why they're kind of relying, on Kachuk and Radish and those new guys, and they've got to hope that it kind of work out. But, Ross Colton is better this year. He's a bigger threat. So that's kind of like a plus for them. But I am kind of curious to see, like you, will they be part of the deadline and try to get a couple guys like that? Gritty legs that are younger that can really play with pace if they're in a long series with Toronto or Florida, teams that can really go. So that I agree. I think there's something there. They say they're going to kind of sit still, but you never know with them. Every year they go for it because they know they're in that cup window with goalies. The goalie they have, Hedman and Kucherov. I mean, Stamkos looks great this year, so that's why I really think they're a threat. Because Stammer's better, Colton's better, Kucherov is back, Hedman's playing better now than he did last year. He was an average defenseman, now he's back to elite.
Yeah, they got an unbelievable squad down there. And I just wanted to pivot to the Olympics here. Obviously, the men's and women's tournaments are now over. You have that big rivalry with the U.S. and Canada. Canada taking the gold there, and Finland winning their first gold medal in the men's tournament. Did you get a chance to watch the Olympic hockey? And if so, did you enjoy the men's side of it without the NHL players in there? Did you still find yourself interested, and did you enjoy the quality of play that they brought to the table?
Not really. It was, it's if you're looking for the best of the best, it's not Olympic hockey,
Right.
And certainly I like watching the college guys, guys I've been watching all year, future players, and how they might, how might they do, and kind of experience. Matty Beniers for Team USA with Michigan, who Seattle took number 2 overall. That's probably a great experience for him. Now he comes back to college, and he can kind of take some of that experience playing with older men. Maybe picked up a few tricks of the trade in the few practices they had. and he can come back and maybe even be better in college the rest of the way. So, as the NCAA tournament is around the corner, then the Frozen Four in Boston this year, which I'll be a part of again. So that was the only part for me that really interested me were the college kids that were playing.
Yeah, it was a tough watch. Let's be honest. It was a very, very tough watch to watch those guys. All right, Butch. Even though the Islanders have now moved well down Hempstead Turnpike to UBS, when you come into town and we're looking for the chicken parm,
there we go.
I know you're still heading over to Vincent's Clam Bar over by the Coliseum. I know that that's still the spot for you for the the Fred Flintstone size chicken parm that they got over there. Are you still in for that or what?
Yeah, is that the place I went to last time I was there? I think
so.
I tweeted out a picture.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, that place was. Yeah, that was dope. That was a good time. I was there with the owner, Ledecky. We were chilling out, having some parm, and that was really cool. Awesome place. We were kind of in the like in that temporary big garage thing they put in there. That I assume maybe they'll keep now, but it was really good, and they kept just bringing more and more food. So it was really cool. But yeah, that was outstanding. And I really enjoyed it. So I'm always looking for new places for parm. So if I get back on I don't think I have any more Islander games this year, but certainly hopefully next year I'll be back.
Not a surprise there.
Well, John, as a follow up to that, and being the chicken parm expert that you are, obviously seeing all your critiques on Twitter and whatnot, which is fantastic. But what actually makes a top notch chicken parm?
Well, I mean, it starts with the cutlet. You have to have a good piece of chicken, and usually, like when I'm cooking it, like I know right away this is a good piece of chicken. Or same with fish or steaks. You can tell before you cook it that it's a good cutlet or piece or whatever or fillet. Like so, it really starts there, and then from there it's just really obviously not overcooking it. You don't want to overcook chicken, for sure. And then it's just having enough sauce and cheese. Like sometimes people just are kind of lacking on the sauce and cheese. You're just having a chicken tender if you're doing that. I mean, you gotta get the marinara on there. Let that cheese melt all over the place. Rub it on your chest if you want to. I mean, there should be leftover cheese. It's like, come on, people. We only live once. Let's do it right.
Yes, no doubt about it. Well, John, we can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. Really appreciate your time. Apologies for the mishaps in the beginning, but we got you on. Really appreciate it. And hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you so much.
I will. Thanks so much, boys. Thanks for loving hockey. I love you.
All righty. Take care. That was the great Mr. John Buccigross of ESPN joining us for a little spot there, talking some miles, talking some Olympics, talking some NHL at large,
chicken parm.
And talking chicken parm. Now, you're a big chicken parm guy.
I like chicken parm, yeah.
Yeah, I believe
the Vincent's Clam Bar is a top 5, top 10 chicken parm.
Oh, absolutely.
It's there.
Now, I don't know if it's still the case now, but I know in the past, like Vincent's was a go-to spot for Islanders. Like they used to go there all the time.
No question.
I don't know if that's still a situation.
I think it is still a situation because they clearly still practice over there at Eisenhower. So they're still practicing there. Nice place to swing over for lunch after they get done.
Yeah.
So I do think that guys still over there, but I mean, we've heard the stories of guys in the past, eating there for lunch every single day. Rookies staying at the Marriott, they're going over to Vincent's every day having some lunch. So it's always been a mainstay for Islander players here.
Yeah, it's true. All right, so let's pick it up. We were talking a little trade deadline. Now, obviously, they want to get a little younger, a little quicker. I mean, you're talking about breaking up the fourth line. That's where we left off.
Yes.
And I had thought that fourth line was at its end previous to this season.
Yeah.
I did. But I think this is it. And it seems like Cal Clutterbuck is the guy who makes the most sense to maybe unload him at the deadline for a team who's looking for that kind of, grinded out sort of player. Yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe he's a guy they finally part with because, look, that line's not getting any younger. And they've had Ross Johnston waiting in the wings here for years, so maybe you finally see a little change there when you already have Martin Cizikas locked up for a couple more years.
I think that of the limited options that you have to actually gain a couple of assets, I don't think you're going to get big assets for somebody like Cal Clutterbuck, but for the chance to get some assets moving into the future, he could provide something for, hey, look, I just said it, a team like Tampa that lost all their sandpaper off of that team because they had to start paying. You can't pay everybody.
Right.
And those guys, you can't pay Gordon. You can't pay all the Coleman and all these other guys that they had to let go. I'm not saying that Cal's on the level of those guys, but he's a guy that maybe can slide into their fourth line and be the type of player that Tampa's picked up over the last few years that will score maybe a couple big goals in the playoffs and have a, Cal.
No,
listen,
it makes sense.
And,
How do you feel about that?
But here's the other thing that he has a lot of playoff games under his belt the last couple of years. And teams like Florida, who haven't been there, teams like Colorado, who's very much a question mark for me. I don't care anymore that Colorado goes and beats everybody 8-1 in the regular season.
Sure.
Doesn't matter to me because they lose in the playoffs.
It's kind of like Toronto West, right?
It is kind of like Toronto West.
Yeah.
They need guys like Cal Clark. Look, they got plenty of guys who could score in Colorado. They don't need,
Right.
They need guys who are physical, guys who know what playoff hockey is about, guys who have been in some battles, and that's where a guy like that could be useful to some of these teams that don't have a lot of playoff experience or going deep in the playoffs on them. So that's the kind of guy that I would look to maybe try to.
No, it makes sense to me. And another name who's come up here on this show as far as the deadline goes, Varlamov. You think they finally cut the cord there and give Sorokin the reins?
Why keep him?
Okay.
What are you gaining at this point?
They're not going on a playoff run. You don't
have playoffs.
You don't need them.
You don't need them right now,
You don't.
and maybe somebody else does. And I think that that's just the situation that you need to be in right now, where if there is anybody that you can get anything for that isn't maybe a really useful piece to try to get this thing going again next year, you have to absolutely listen to it and get on the table.
And according to Mel Armenia 22 in the chat, Joe Sakic was at the game today.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Scouting.
Because, listen, teams are going to be interested if the Islanders are selling pieces. They know that not just Cal. All these guys have played big playoff minutes over the last 2 years. And I'll tell you, I know some fans will love it, some fans will hate it. I'd put Bailey in the conversation as well.
I was just going to ask you, do you think there's any maybe surprise candidates that might be on the block here that Lou might be willing to unload?
I think we know what it came. I think it was either him or Everly in the expansion, and we saw what happened there. I think that if somebody wants to add him, and listen, this is a business at the end of the day, and as much as you want to see guys play their entire careers for one team and blah, 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 at the end of the day, you can get something for him. Some people will be happy, some people will be mad.
Of course.
It'll split the fan base highly, but you got to do it sometimes. You just have to do it.
No, I'm with you. And just from a pure, I suppose, cold-hearted standpoint, I think if you can get something for him to kind of get that retool going, because they're going to need more. They're going to need assets in order to bring other guys back in, right? They're going to need draft picks because they've unloaded some now over the last couple of years, bringing in Pajot, bringing in Palmieri, whomever else. So that's something you have to look at, even if you have some sort of sentimental attachment to a player like Josh Bailey, who's been with the team for a long time. Yeah. You even have people talking about putting a banner up in the rafters. Now, I'm not on that train.
I don't.
But I've seen it out there.
I don't like giving guys video. I don't like giving guys video tributes, let alone giving them banners. So
just for playing on the team for a long time, I don't understand it.
Look, you can't have these conversations until you officially close the book on a guy.
Agreed.
If let's say he's an Islander for another 3 or 4 years, he plays and he's, second all time in some category or fifth all time, and it's like he's got a bunch of top 5 records in the team.
Right.
Maybe they do end up finally, lifting the brass ring. Then you have a discussion about it.
Sure.
If it was tomorrow, the discussion's easy. It's a no.
I'm with you there.
I'm extremely picky with this stuff.
No, I'm with you.
I don't want anybody up there.
And we don't have the time to dive deep into it, but you look at the history that this team has. You look at the names that are already up in the rafter, and you have to kind of use that as a bar. I mean, look, it's not like you got to wait till the next 4-cup dynasty to throw a number up there, but there has to be some kind of threshold.
Well, right, because look, what the guys that are up there now were part of something that, in my opinion, isn't going to be done again. Maybe not just in the NHL, but in sports, period.
No.
So I'm talking in everything.
Yeah.
MLB, NFL.
Sure.
I don't think anybody's winning 4 championships in a row in this day and age of free agency and guys getting paid. I just don't think that stuff's happening anymore. That Islander team isn't going to be done again.
No.
But you're right. The guys that are up there were part of an extremely special situation and group. And the bar for whoever the next person's going to be is going to be a little bit lower. And take guys like Josh Bailey or Anders Lee, for example. Anders Lee ends up playing his entire career for the Islanders, and maybe he's in the top 10 in goals scored. Who knows? You gotta try
it's a whole other podcast.
Exactly. You can't have the talk until the book is closed.
Yeah,
because there's too many what ifs. There's too many what ifs.
I agree with you. So what do you say we move on to what's on tap? How do you
What
feel
is
about
on
that?
tap?
We're gonna
They
find
gotta,
out.
They got to play more games.
They have a lot more games to go.
And now,
Yeah.
it's time for What's on Tap, brought to you by RJ Daniels, American Bar and Grill.
That's right, folks. It's time for What's on Tap, brought to you by RJ Daniels. And yes, Mikey, not only do they have more games to play, they have 4 coming up this week.
Jeez.
And it's all on the road, heading out west.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the pain train is still on the tracks.
Oh, there's a pain train, all right.
Tuesday in Seattle, maybe a little revenge there, maybe not. Tuesday in San Jose against the Sharks. Saturday, they play the late night game, 10:30 start here on the East against the LA Kings. And then back-to-back on Sunday against the Anaheim Ducks. That's an 8:30 start here on the East Coast. What do you make of that West Coast swing, buddy? What do you think?
Well, these are historically,
especially after today.
These are historically extremely tough contests to stay up for.
Right?
I mean, just, in general, it's just like, man, I mean, they're dropping the puck at 10:15 or they're dropping the puck at 10:35, 10:40 like this. I got work in the morning. But, the team's playing so well. I got to be there for them. This year, team sucks, and you got a bunch of games at 10 o'clock at night. There's going to be a lot of people who are putting their head on the pillow before the puck even hits the ice. And I don't blame them 1 second with the way that this team has played this year.
Head in the pillow, maybe tidy up the room.
Now, I think that some people will be in the mix for Seattle on Tuesday night. Probably a lot of people haven't watched a game in that arena yet.
Right.
The climate-controlled, whatever the hell they call that place.
Yeah. And they got like a dual scoreboard situation going on there.
Yeah, which, those are both
Climate
off. Those are, by the way,
Arena.
Climate Pledge Arena.
Yeah.
Those scoreboards are both off-center, by the way.
Well, extremely.
Both the scoreboards are
Well, they're
off-center.
centered one way.
Well, yeah, that's fine,
Right.
but they're not in the middle of the ice.
No.
That used to be a major problem for people.
But I guess when there's
scoreboard
2
runs in
of
the
them,
middle.
you get away with it because
that's okay then?
Yeah,
So
because
you
then
have
you
one
kind
on
of
each side. It's all right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they take up one half perhaps. We'll see. We'll see on Tuesday.
Look, you can't expect much going forward here. I'll say this: Seattle is not a good team. I think a lot of people had some high expectations for this team because of what Vegas did a few years ago.
Right.
Not the case here. They honestly, I thought that they made an awful decision making Francis the guy that run that team.
Interesting.
I think that the way that he handled the expansion draft was awful. I think
By
that-
comparison,
I think the team-
absolutely.
he did it a different way.
Yeah.
Vegas went for some names.
Yep.
Needed some star power. Seattle went for charts and graphs. Let's just call it like
made
this.
little to no deals. I
Yeah,
mean, Vegas was wheeling and dealing. He's done nothing.
I mean, and there were players out there, impact players that Seattle could have had, whether it was Tarasenko and
Right.
others that they just left on the side.
Josh Bailey.
I mean, Carey Price, Tarasenko. Now, Carey Price is having his own problems this year. We understand that.
Yes,
He's not playing, period.
Of course.
But there was guys out there that could have made a major impact on Seattle, and they chose not to do it. Team sucks. Islanders have a chance for a win there on Tuesday. Sharks have played okay. The Islanders never win in San Jose. They never win in Los Angeles. The Ducks they were playing well, and now they've been in a little bit of a
Back
funk.
down to earth, yeah.
Kings have played really well, too.
Right.
Kings have been a very good team. It's a tough trip.
Yeah.
Very tough trip. And I know this isn't part of what's on tap, but then they got to go to Colorado to finish it after that. That's just...
Yeah, it's not a good go here. The road.
This is part of just another circumstance of things that kind of got thrown on the pile with the Islander season.
Right.
It's just the way that this makeup schedule in February got thrown together, where
They were
had to
supposed
do
to have 3 weeks
They
off?
had to do the Western Canadian trip where they normally would be off. Couple home games, right back out west to do all the West Coast stuff to make up. Like it's just another nickel you can throw on the bucket. That's it.
No, I'm with you. And speaking of Sunday against the Anaheim Ducks,
Ooh, what do you got?
Want to remind you guys, viewing party at RJ Daniels in Rockville Center. That's right. Tony Stabile will be filling in for Christian Arnold.
Right?
Yeah, Christian Arnold, you know what? He starts covering the Brooklyn Nets, and he just starts big dogging me, I mean,
Well,
2 weeks
look,
vacation,
you gotta,
whatever.
You got to give the guy a break.
No, he's a good fellow.
he's a
Don't
good
tell him I said that, but no, he well-deserved time off. So Christian won't be around next week. So Tony Stabile's going to fill in. Tony Stabile,
legend,
back in the saddle. Maybe he'll show up. Maybe he'll come down.
Look, it's a Sunday night.
Yeah, tough. Yeah.
8:30. If it was a 9:30 face-off, I might have a better shot.
Gotta put the kids to bed.
Yeah, man, I got it. And with now my weeknights are just completely shot, so I've got to spend like a little bit of time.
Okay, well, don't roll it out.
Putting everybody, Yeah, I'm not going to rule it out.
Okay.
In fact, Saturday night at 10:30 is actually probably better than Sunday night at 8:30.
we couldn't do the Saturday show.
Well, hey, look, I'd rather go out and have fun than watch the Islanders on Saturday night.
Okay.
If I had the chance to do that.
All right. So big viewing party Sunday for the Ducks game. We'll probably get started with the show around 7 o'clock. We're going to have, there's actually a lot of games on that day, so we're going to get started with the drink and food specials at 4 p.m. on Sunday at RJ's because we got some games starting there. I believe the 4 o'clock game is the Jets and the Coyotes. You got Penguins Jackets going on. You have the Canucks Rangers. And then, of course, the Islanders and the Ducks coming on at 8:30, where we will have the sound on, of course. And the great Chris Botta from Hockey Press Pass will be in-house.
How about that?
Hanging out with us. So he'll be jumping on the show, too. So we'll be talking plenty of Isles. Our friends at Drive for 5 will be coming down to hang out as well. And, of course, we'll have the 50-50 going. Plenty of prizes and raffles, as we always do. So regardless of all the negativity that we started this show with, we're still going to have a lot of fun next week. Come down, hang out with us, talk some hockey. We'll have a lot of fun. All the big screen TVs will have plenty of hockey on. And it'll be a good time. So come on down, RJ Daniels, next Sunday night. Lots of fun there, and of course, we'll keep you updated on the details on social media. So, folks,
that was What's on Tap, brought to you by RJ Daniels, American Bar and Grill.
That's right. We have just over 15 minutes to go, so we're going to jump right in to a break here. Then we'll go to Hero of the Week. So, folks, once again, want to thank you so much for hanging out with us here at twitch.tv/HockeyNightNY and your favorite podcast providers. We will be right back.
Customer service is the backbone of any great business, and reliable telecommunication is essential to keeping your client base happy. Introducing Thai Technology, a low-cost, flexible internet phone service founded on the idea that every customer deserves exceptional service while providing simple setup and management and easy integration to clients across the country. Thai Technology will not only create a custom solution tailored to your specific needs, but will partner with you to provide a competitive edge to you and your clients. And if you need support, you won't be routed to an automated call center in another country. You'll get a live representative that had a personal hand in building your account. So Islander fans, if your business is looking for a change from companies like Spectrum, Verizon, or Optimum, Thai Technology is offering 3 free months of service for any of its affordable packages. Just call 516-856-7800. That's 516-856-7800. Or visit them on the web at thaitechnology.com. That's Thai, T-I-E, technology.com. Thai Technology, the right choice for your internet phone service.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you hear this song, that means it's time for the Hero of the Week, brought to you by the Blue Line Deli and Bagels Half-Price Hero. And in celebration of having Michael Carver here on the show, the White Whale is your half-price Hero of the Week, coined by the man, Mr. Carver here. That features chicken cutlet, gravy, onion rings, bacon, fresh mozzarella on a toasted garlic hero. Get it for half price all week starting tomorrow. That is Monday through next week, where we'll announce a brand new half-off hero. Stop on in, mention Hockey Night in New York for half off the White Whale.
White Whale.
So, MC, with that in mind, who is your Hero of the Week?
Man, there's so many people to choose from. For the Hero of the Week this week.
Sure.
They lost, they won, they lost.
Yeah.
I think the only real heroes for the Islander country this week are probably the bartenders at UBS Arena.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm going to give it to those people.
Right
the
there.
people slinging drinks at UBS, there you go. Though that is who I will go with this week because, let's be honest, nobody on the team deserves recognition. I'm going with the people that actually serve the fresh beverages over at UBS.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Rough crowd.
Yeah.
Now, you've been in the building. Do you have a drink of choice over there? I mean, it's sponsored by Heineken. They're the big dogs
they're
there.
everywhere.
Right. You got all their products in there.
Can't miss them.
You got a favorite?
Oh, look, I always at the Owls games like Labatt Blues.
Labatt
so
Blues.
That's always
strong.
And they got of course the tall boy. They got the tall 24-ounce cans. I mean, that's more on.
Have you tried the Arizona Sunrise?
No, I didn't. I have not tried
fantastic.
that. Now, I'll tell you though, as much as I like the Labatt cans,
okay,
I do like getting the draft beer there because they've got those great cups. I mean, the cups are just
aluminum, probably.
They're aces.
Yeah.
Those cups are unbelievable.
Take them home.
So, but the people serving the drinks, they're the hero of the week because let's be honest, nobody on this team, they're the hero of the year. To be quite honest with you,
they got half a year to go.
The hero of the year.
Yeah.
That's how good of a job they've done this year.
Hats off to the bartending staff at UBS Arena because I have a feeling they're going to be pouring a lot more drinks as the season goes on here.
There's no question about that.
Yeah.
They'd be really pouring them down.
All right. Well, I went a little more traditional.
Oh, did you?
With the hero. I did. And the only game you can really look at is that game against the Bruins. You know, not only did they win, they did a good job, 4-1. But one guy who led the charge there was one Noah Dobson.
Oh.
He had the game winner. He had an assist. We've been talking about him on the show recently, kind of his emergence here with the team, kind of taking over.
There has been an emergence.
Yeah, I mean, he has, 22 points at the halfway mark. If he stays on that pace, you're talking about maybe a 40-point season for Noah Dobson.
Yeah, I mean, at least there'll be a couple of bright rays of sunshine in this season.
Got to reach for something here.
You certainly do.
Silver lining.
40-plus point season for Noah Dobson. That's, we're grasping. We're reaching, but we found something.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of positives. I mean, I don't want to be, the Grim Reaper around here, but there just hasn't been a lot of.
You're here to talk reality.
A lot of positives.
Let's
be fair.
We're realists here at Hockey Night New York,
yeah.
So we try to keep it real, and we kept the optimism going for a while. We did.
Yeah.
I hung on for a long time, but look, it's just staring us right in the face now.
Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, I think that people got a little too hung up on they're 18 points back and they're this way, but it's like don't waste your time looking at standings. And this was a month ago I was saying this. I mean, now you don't have to waste your time even watching the games, but don't even waste your time looking at standings. It doesn't matter. You'll know if the team's in the mix or not by how they play. Don't worry about what other teams are doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a difference.
Sure.
And the Islanders in the last month since I made that kind of claim, they've given you a reason not to worry about it anymore. You don't have to worry about the other teams or the Islanders themselves. They've made that very clear here for the stretch run.
Yeah, and it's just, it's not inspiring. It's just not.
Well, I think that's the thing that kind of lights up the most. Because since January 1st, I honestly, it's hard for me to get on them for everything that went on in October, November, and December.
Of course.
I just feel like they were put on several levels in a very, very tough situation to get off to a good start this season.
Mm-hmm.
From January 1st on, it's been a little bit of a different story, and I just haven't seen the same fire, the same toughness, the same defensive effort that we've seen from this team in the past. Is that a product of the first 3 months were such a tough grind for them that a lot of guys maybe the will got broken a little bit? You also had that also intertwined with when Barry was out of the mix for a little while. When they all come back and then he's out. Nothing against Lane Lambert, who I think is going to be a great head coach in this league, but it's just every time it looked like you were about to get back on track, something else went wrong. And now, in the past 3 or 4 weeks, now they just suck. I mean, they're just not playing well.
They've had enough time and chance now to show us whether or not they were going to be able to
play the same amount of games as everybody else.
Right.
You all play 82.
Right.
All right? So at the end of the day, that's what you're judged on.
Yeah.
Judged on the whole 82.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it goes.
It's true. Well, folks, that was the Hero of the Week segment brought to you by the Blue Line Deli and Bagels Half Price Hero. Once again, the White Whale, coined by Mr. Carver over here.
I got to tell you, I don't get I really should have, I was told I should have trademarked that because people just use it left and right now.
It's everywhere.
White Whale is just,
right.
You got everybody using it.
Yeah.
I mean, Sports Illustrated, ESPN articles, NBC.
Is that right?
NBC tweets it. There's been, it's been used on several fronts.
Buddy, that is yours. I mean, you have the claim.
I'm well aware.
Make no mistake about it.
Oh, White Whale's all me when it comes to Ilya Sorokin. There's no
It's
question
true.
about that.
I remember.
I didn't even get to, the White Whale, the sandwich at Donald. I gave Donald the business. I didn't even get to pick what was on the White Whale. He had a contest. He let a fan pick what was on the White Whale sandwich.
Well, it just so happens we have.
Now, I love Donald.
He's a great man.
I love Donald.
He's a great man.
So
Might have to have a chat.
But here's the thing. I would have that sandwich either way.
Okay.
So
you
it's
haven't yet.
I have not had the white one.
I wasn't going to put you on the spot, but you said I was going to ask you.
No, I haven't had it.
Okay.
I haven't had it. Now,
right.
I've been out to, of course, Blue Line several times, but it's usually very
Sure.
early in the morning.
Right. Not
And
time for a white
Not really
whale.
time, but you know
Right.
what I could do is the next time if I make an early in the morning trip to Blue Line,
Yeah.
I could maybe also get something for lunch and
There
heat
you
up
go.
later
Bag
on.
it up. Take it home.
Yeah, I could do something like that.
Save it for later.
So that's something that I'm going to have to work on going forward.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So once again, folks, the White Whale, your Blue Line Deli and Bagels half-price hero. Step on in there all week. Get half price. Mention Hockey Night New York. Great stuff. So we got just under 10 minutes to go, so we got to run right in to the Questions Bruin segment.
Oh, let's go.
Brand new intro for that. Here we go.
Oh, I got to hear this.
It's time for Questions Brewing.
Whoa.
Brought to you by Oyster Bay Brewing Company. Long Island's Gold Coast Brewery.
That's right, folks. It's time for Questions Brewing. Brought to you by Oyster Bay Brewing Company, Long Island's Gold Coast Brewery. Mike, I'm going to start you off right here. T-Boyle13 wants to know, do you see Skarich being ready for next season? With all this talk about perhaps trading off Semyon Varlamov?
Probably not. They'll go with somebody. They'll sign some hack off the street to go with Sorokin. That's what they'll do.
Maybe
They'll
like
sign,
a Thomas Greiss reclamation project.
bring him back. I mean, what did he
Oh,
sign?
no, I don't mean literally
deal?
Thomas
No,
Greiss.
was it a 2-year deal in Detroit? I mean, or maybe
I thought it was 4.
You know what? They did give
he's
him
not
quite a
going
few
anywhere.
dollars.
Yeah.
But it's going to be somebody like that. You're at the point now, especially after this season, where Sorokin's going to play. And look, you could go. You know what? You could go either way with this. Sorokin's going to play 65% of the games. Going forward, give or take. So you either go with the steady veteran hand to caddy him, or
I'll tell you
young
what.
guy.
No, not to cut you off, but if they are looking to deal Varlamov, they're going to get him into some games before this deadline. Show him off a little bit. Not that they don't know what he brings to the table,
Look,
but
well, look, at this point, who cares? Yeah, play him. What's the difference?
Right.
Like, what are you playing for?
right,
at
you're
this
not going
point?
for
It's not like it matters.
Yeah,
He'll play some
True.
games on this trip. They have a back-to-back Saturday and Sunday in
Right.
L.A. and Anaheim. He'll
Mhm.
play one of those games, and
True.
He will get dealt. I firmly believe that because you can
It's
never,
looking more. Why
you
wouldn't
can
you at
never
this
have
point?
enough goaltending.
I love him. I think he's great.
I think he's great too.
Yeah.
I think he's shown that because he stayed healthy the last 2 years, which is the biggest thing, and he's shown that he could perform in the playoffs.
Big
Teams
time.
know that,
Mhm.
so he's going to be either. There's not too many teams in the playoff position right now
Mm-hmm.
where I think he'd go right in and start for them.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to have that backup option. I mean, you look at Colorado 2 years ago; they were on like their 5th goalie in the
Right.
bubble.
Right.
You need to be now. He's not going back to Colorado. We know that ship has sailed.
Probably
We're not going to have
not.
Varlamov out in Colorado,
Yeah.
although they could use another goaltender.
Yeah.
But I think there'll be a team that definitely brings him in.
I agree with you. Andremi13 wants to know, do you see Gaudreau hitting the market and Lou being an aggressive player for him? Also, do you think Beauvillier gets traded for a puck-moving D-man?
I think that if there's anybody on this team right now who in the offseason could be traded for another similar age type of asset, it is Anthony Beauvillier. I'm sorry. He's out of chances with me, just so you know.
Wow.
I'm willing now to go ahead and I'm not giving him away for nothing.
Yeah.
I need a solid age, same age type of player, the puck moving defenseman that you're talking about,
Okay.
another winger or a center.
Okay.
I need somebody comparable to do it, but there's too much inconsistency with me over an 82 game season. We just talked about it earlier in this show.
Right.
I also need to find a way to make sure the 82 games get them to the postseason. He's way too inconsistent in that 82 games that I'd be willing to set sail with it, get him out of here.
Okay. I wonder if that's a sell low kind of situation, but I hear what you're saying here.
Well, off of his regular season, it probably is going to be.
It's kind of what
Let's
I'm
be
saying.
fair.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Mike4652 Co wants to know, we're a little further into the season and our playoff hopes are dim. That's being nice.
Dim.
What does Lou do with Barry's contract?
Dim.
Does he extend him over the summer or wait and see?
I think we're talking about the wrong guy. I think what are we doing with Lou?
Ooh.
I think we're talking about the wrong
tell
guy.
me more, Michael.
Well, I think that we need to. What's the succession plan?
Actually, CGS878
what's-
said, what
what's-
happens if Lou retires? So let's tie it together here.
What's the succession plan here? Like, I mean, personally, I don't love the whole my son's going to be the general manager route. I'm not the biggest fan of that.
Right.
I think that if you're, I'm not ready to run Lou out of here.
Okay.
I'm willing to let him, and I know I'm in the minority on this. I'm willing to let him have one more off season here.
Okay.
With this group.
Okay.
Because I just am, and we'll see how it goes. But I also think that ownership needs to talk to him and specifically get into how much longer are you doing this? What's our plan beyond you? Because he is 78 years. I mean, he's up there, and he does want to win right now. But we need to know what the plan is down the road. Now, as far as Barry goes, I'm sorry. You
Lifetime
Barry,
contract,
I don't
please.
care.
Yeah.
Barry can stay here forever. I
I'm
don't
with
care.
you there.
And I know people don't like that Barry doesn't play young guys and he wants to play veterans and all that. I'm sorry. I don't. You want Steve Sterling back or the 2023 version of Steve Sterling? I don't. I don't want it. I want Barry Trotz as the coach.
No, I'm with you there 100%. CGS878 also wants to know, is Varley back from Canada yet? Do we know that?
I saw he got back yesterday. I believe somebody tweeted this today. He's back from Canada, but he's still not eligible to play. I don't know, the dopey rules that they have.
The dopey rules.
Yeah, like it's nonsense.
All right, well, we're just up against that 8 o'clock spot, so we got to get going. But thank you so much for throwing the questions out there for the Questions Brewing segment. And Mikey, thanks for taking the reins there, answering some questions.
Been a while.
Yeah.
You got to talk some Islanders.
Absolutely.
Back in the mix,
That
baby.
was Questions
Oh!
Brewing, brought to you by Oyster Bay Brewing Company, Long Island's Gold Coast Brewery.
Like it.
That's right, Long Island's Gold Coast Brewery. So, folks, with that, we're going to wrap it up here. Huge thanks to John Buccigross of ESPN, and, of course, a monumental thanks to the man, the myth, the legend, Mikey Carver here for filling in for Christian Arnold of SportsGrid of ILC Podcast.
Yes.
And, buddy, moving up on Sirius, huh? What's going on?
Sirius XM, channel 159, Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern.
There
Every
you have
night.
it, folks.
Let's go.
Check them out. So, folks, want to send a huge thanks out to RJ Daniels, American Bar and Grill, located at 279A Sunrise Highway in Rockville Center. The best place to catch the Isles when you can't make it to the game. And don't just go for the Isles. They have live music, comedy nights, trivia, a late-night bar scene. They have it all. Big thanks to Blue Line Deli and Bagels, located at 719 West Jericho Turnpike in Huntington, an official partner of the New York Islanders and the greatest deli around.
Yes.
Check out the menu at BlueLineDeli.com for their great selections and hockey-themed heroes. And a huge thanks to Ty Technology, a voice-over IP company providing phone services for businesses across the country. Check them out at TyTechnology.com for all your telecom needs, or give them a call at 516-856-7800 for 3 free months of service. And, of course, a big thanks to Oyster Bay Brewing Company, located at 36 Audrey Avenue in Oyster Bay. You can order their great beers and merchandise at oysterbaybrewing.com for curbside pickup, local delivery, or shipping anywhere in New York. And get 15% off with coupon code HNINY. Thanks once again to all you out there for tuning in. And, of course, Mikey, where can everybody follow you on the social?
At Carver High _
There
on
you
Twitter.
have it.
Yes.
You can also follow the absent Christian Arnold at C_Arnold.
Absent.
01. Follow
Good luck
myself.
on the road test, buddy. Good luck.
Follow myself at Shawnee Hockey. Follow the show at Hockey Night NY on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'll see you next week at RJ Daniels.
Yeah.
MC, let's go.
Let's go.
We'll see you next time, folks. Thanks a lot.